Hey, what's up everybody? Hammerheart Meta Reviews here once again to give you another discography countdown of one of my favorite bands. And today we are going to be going back in time, talking about some traditional heavy metal mixed with doom. One of the best in this genre, Cirith Ungol. Just the name itself, legends in their own right. These guys were formed in 1972 in California. And yeah, I mean, just like I said, they are legends. They were around for a long time, from like 72 till around 1992 for 20 years, but then they disbanded. They thought they were done, but then they actually reunited. They reformed in 2015, and they're still going strong the last few years, putting out a brand new comeback album back in 2020. I think they're working on new material. They had a new EP from 2021 as well, which is great. Always love to see these older bands coming back and still kicking ass. If you've never heard these guys before, yeah, like I said, really play like traditional heavy metal, but with a lot of doom influence. And they really have a unique sound, very experimental in their early days. And really what they're known for is their vocalist, Tim Baker, has probably one of the most unique vocal approaches in all of metal, for sure. I'm sure not everyone is going to love it. It definitely takes some getting used to, but it really gives Cirith Ungol their trademark sound. His vocals, I don't even know the best way to describe it. It's almost like he's yelling, like he's a man possessed. It sounds fucking insane, but it works so goddamn well. Probably wouldn't work in every band, and at the same time, different vocalists probably wouldn't work in Cirith Ungol. It's just the combination of all of this together just really fucking works so goddamn well, and it's just great. Easily one of the best in this subgenre of metal, for sure. So they do only have 5 full-length albums. Rather than doing my usual where I'd start at my least favorite, work my way down to the favorite, I'm going to just go sequentially from oldest to newest to kind of give you a run-through of their whole career. And then I'll give you a ranking at the very end of worst to best, in my opinion. So, to start this off, their debut album came out in 1981, titled Frost and Fire. So this one, yeah, maybe not as doomy as their subsequent albums. This one was definitely more experimental, even had some keyboard parts and like some synths. Maybe it's a bit uneven overall, but there are some standout tracks on here that are just like really fucking awesome. This one is definitely one of their more upbeat albums. It's more in the like 70s hard rock vein as opposed to some more of the metal approach that the later albums had, even like some prog rock influences with those keyboards and very unique approach to songwriting. But the musicianship's really on point, like great solos throughout. The vocals, like I said, might take some time to get used to, but they are just amazing. Favorite songs on this album, the title track, Frost and Fire, to kick off the album, absolutely stellar. I'm Alive, probably one of my favorite Cirith Ungol tracks overall. It's a really nice, like it builds up slowly, and it's a nice long epic song, and the vocals just really build up and fucking kick your ass. It's really awesome. A Little Fire is also amazing. These are actually the first 3 songs on the album. It starts so goddamn strong. Maybe there's a couple songs that aren't as quite on par with these 3 songs later in the album. That's the only reason maybe I won't have it ranked at the very top, because these first 3 songs are so fucking killer. But the album as a whole doesn't quite live up to that. But nonetheless, for a debut, this is a solid goddamn album. Definitely worth listening to. Their second album is from 1984, and that was titled King of the Dead. This is renowned as probably their classic album, one of their best, one of their most popular albums for sure. It's a lot longer than the debut, like longer songs in general, and this really brought in more of the doom vibe to it. The guitars had really like fuzzy, like fuzz-driven tone, kind of in the vibe of like some old Black Sabbath. Just really brings in the doom elements. The bass really gets an opportunity to shine on this album. It really gives it this deep low-end sound on all these songs. It's a really weird album, but it's great. Like, the songwriting is so complex. The songs do not follow traditional structure at all. It's almost like songs within songs, but it just works. It just fucking works. I don't know how to explain it because it's so goddamn weird, but it's great. It's just amazing. The solos still shred. The vocals are insane again, but in the best possible way. And yeah, this is just such an engaging listen. You don't know where the songs are going, but once you've listened to it a few times, like, it is still catchy. It still sticks in your head. Absolutely great. Easily one of my favorites by them. Maybe my favorite. We'll see when I do my ranking at the very end. But best songs on here: Atom Smasher, the title track King of the Dead, absolutely stellar. One of my favorite tracks by them for sure. Master of the Pit, fucking killer. All in all, absolutely solid album. Need to go listen to it. Up next, their third album was 1986's One Foot in Hell. So this was a perfect follow-up to King of the Dead, kind of followed in the same path as that. Maybe not quite as doomy as that album as a whole. There's still some doomier songs for sure, but there's also some faster tempo. When I say faster tempo, it's not like this is thrash metal here. It's just faster tempo as opposed to King of the Dead. They kind of have more varied tempos on this album. Some slow songs, some faster songs, but it's just it's still just awesome. I don't know if it's quite on par with King of the Dead, but it's goddamn close. Like, it's so fucking close. These are my two favorite albums. You'll see at the end when I do my ranking which one I'm going to put 1, which one I'm going to put 2. But yeah, once again, great solos. Vocals are really on point. Musicianship as a whole is just really on point. Best songs on here: Blood and Iron. Come on. Kicks so much ass. Chaos Descends. Probably my favorite on the album. One of my favorites by them for sure. 100 Miles an Hour. The part in there where he just screams, "We're here to kick your ass." Just so fucking good. Brings a smile to my face every goddamn time. Such a killer album. Absolutely need to go listen to this if you've never heard it before. So then after this, the band kind of went through a little bit of turmoil. Lost some members, like lost their bassist, lost some guitarists, but they still wanted to put out another album. So in 1991, they put out Paradise Lost. As a result of the new band members, this is a little bit of an uneven album. I don't know if it's got the same vibe to it as the previous albums. There's still some standout moments, but just doesn't quite have that same Cirith Ungol sound that you that you knew and loved. Nonetheless, like, it is still okay, but it's probably, in my opinion, their weakest album. But yeah, it's definitely the one I listen to the least. It just doesn't necessarily have the same energy as the previous albums. The vocals are still great. Like, it's still worth listening to. I just don't think I can put it on the same level as the others. But best songs on here: Join the Legion, that's still pretty solid. Chaos Rising, Fallen Idols, those are still great songs, but as a whole, can't put it as high as the other ones. So then after that, they did disband completely. They were done, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video. They were active for like 20 years, then they just stopped, but then they got back together in 2015, originally just to do some tours, not necessarily to put out new albums, but then in 2020, excuse me, 29 whole years after Paradise Lost, they put out a new album titled Forever Black, and what a triumphant return this album was. Like, wow, just fucking amazing. Brought back some original members. Of course, Tim Baker's still doing vocals. Also brought in some new members. Why can't I remember his name? Jarvis Slenderby or something like that from Speed Demon. I think, yeah, he plays bass on this. I might have the name wrong, so I apologize for that. I should have written that down. But, yeah, like, the vocals are still easily the highlight of this album. Still great musicianship, but this one's got kind of a blend of the older sound with some more modern production, but it really works. It's like they did not miss a beat in 29 years. This could have easily been like the follow-up to One Foot in Hell even. Like, it would fit perfectly in their discography there. It's just a fucking killer album. Best songs on here: Legions Arise, The Frostmon Stream is really solid, Stormbringer. Just all in all, really killer stuff. So now, I've talked about these 5 albums. Let's see what order I've got them ranked in from my least favorite down to my favorite. So based on my comments, I'm sure you know which one's coming last. That is Paradise Lost from 1991. Very easy choice for me to put it in last place. Like I said, it's just not on par with the other ones, but it's still decent. It's not terrible. It's just not quite as good as the others. Up next at number 4, I'm going with the newest one, Forever Black. It's not because it's not good. It's just when there's only 5 albums, I mean, something has to come lower than other albums. But putting this fourth is not a knock on it. It is a solid goddamn album. Definitely worth listening to. In at number 3, I'm going with the debut Frost and Fire. Maybe as a whole, Forever Black is more consistent than Frost and Fire, but Frost and Fire just holds more of a dear spot in my heart. It's got some catchier songs, like those first 3 songs on the album are 3 of my favorite Cirith Ungol songs. So of course I'm going to rank this album high. It's just killer, needs to be there. So now the top 2, it is a toss-up, King of the Dead or One Foot in Hell. They're both so goddamn good. I mean, even Frost and Fire is not too much below these 2 albums. But for me, coming in at number 2, I'm going to go with One Foot in Hell. And then at number 1, I'm going to go with King of the Dead. So yeah, these 2 albums, so goddamn close. Easily the order could have been switched, but those are just my opinions. I prefer King of the Dead, maybe by a hair. So if you've never heard these guys before, I strongly suggest you go listen to their first 3 albums if you're into like old traditional heavy metal with some doom influence that's maybe a little bit weird, a little bit out there, not just exactly what you're expecting. These guys don't really sound like anyone else. They're definitely very unique, but that's the best thing about them. And Tim Baker's vocals are just fucking amazing. Anyways, these are just my opinions as usual. I'd love to hear yours down below. What's your favorite Cirith Ungol album? What are your favorite songs? What did you think of my list? And anyways, give me a like and give me a subscribe. And until next time, Hammerheart Metal Reviews out!